Biohacking has been around since the 1980s, but over the past 10 years, the term has exploded, sweeping the world with names like Dave Asprey leading the charge. People across the globe are taking control of their biology. Healthy people are optimizing their life, their fitness, their exercise, using technology and cutting-edge science so that we can stay on the tip of the health sphere, avoid getting sick, increase our health span, live a long and happy life. Biohacking is not just for the rich. In this video, not only am I going to be showing you some of the most advanced tactics that biohackers like myself utilize to live a life of fuller energy, but I'm also going to be sharing with you some of the biohacks that you can do at home for free. Let's dive right into the video. If you're new to the channel, I'm Dr. J. Feldman. I'm an osteopathic doctor obsessed with regenerative medicine and biohacking. In fact, I now do it nearly full time. I haven't seen an actual patient in almost 3 years. I visit the regenerative medicine clinic almost every week, utilizing technology like hyperbaric oxygen, cryotherapy, cold pods, all of the cool stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you during this video today. But just so you know, not only am I a Western medicine doctor that went through medical school in the US, studied in a family medicine residency, but I'm also a passionate biohacker, which is not usually something that you hear together. Usually, Western medicine is going to be very against any mention of biohacking or regenerative medicine. They think because it's not fully scientifically backed yet, because it's so new, that all of it is baloney and isn't real, and it's us quacks who actually use it. But I'm here to dispel some rumors, show you what actually works and what people are doing so that you can make that decision for yourself. Now let's get into some of the biohacks that are popular and trending in America right now. So I'd like to start with some of the really hardcore stuff, the stuff that costs a little bit of money and is scientifically not fully proven yet, but is super promising and exciting for someone like me who actually understands the science. Now, there's a few different categories of biohacking that I'd like to discuss here. The first is molecular biohacking. Now, these are things like peptides that we're actually putting into our body to alter our DNA and our gene chemistry. The second are devices. These are going to be things that you utilize like biochargers that you sit next to or in or keep in your bed that do something to your body, enact pulses or electromagnetic frequency that actually have an effect on your cells. The third are the free types of biohacks. The more cutting edge areas of science like intermittent fasting, light therapy, things of that nature that you can go and do for free right now that are still cutting edge but don't cost any money. So let's start with the most interesting, I think, which is the molecular biohacking. These are things like gene editing technology, like peptides, like different molecules that you infuse into your body. Now, these are very interesting because they are on the cutting edge of science. A lot of them are currently being used with FDA approval for specific things like cancer treatment, but they have a lot of versatility and capability beyond what is currently approved by the FDA. Now, these things cost a lot of money. The ones that I'd like to talk to you about right now are peptides. Now, if you're new to peptides, please watch my video on peptides, but these are chains of amino acids that kind of like hormones go into your body and tell your cells to do very specific things. Go into your DNA and they send signals, but these signals are much more safe and much more targeted than taking a hormone like testosterone or estrogen. There are hundreds of peptides being studied right now for different purposes. One that I'll mention as an example is called melanotan 2. This is a peptide that you inject and it actually sends a signal to your skin cells to produce more melanin pigment. So with one injection a week, you're able to get a tan, a real tan, because it's actually melanin without going to the UV bed, so you're not getting any cell damage from the sun. And the side effects of this peptide injection can be actually quite pleasant. There's some peptides that cause you to actually get smarter, score better on tests. And there are hundreds being developed right now for ranges of purposes such as intelligence, such as muscle growth, and this is just the beginning. We're just scratching the surface with peptides. So us biohackers are staying on top of this trend to see what's next, to see what we can experiment with, to see the results of clinical studies that are happening right now, to see what's going to be next. A few other molecules that I'll discuss briefly are things like the NAD+ infusion. NAD+ is a coenzyme in your body that actually assists in several really important functions: energy production, repairing broken DNA, amongst a lot of other other things. And this decreases as you age, which is a very bad thing. So if you replenish your NAD+, once it starts to go down, not only can you live a happier, healthier, more energetic life, but your risk of things like cancer might go down and other diseases of aging, which are most. A final one that I'll mention before moving on to the next category of biohacks is TRT, an estrogen replacement. This one's a little bit more controversial because there's pros and cons to replenishing hormone levels as they start to naturally decline with age. But for men specifically, and I'm a man, so I'll talk to this one. If you replenish testosterone levels as they go from 1,000 in young adulthood down to 300 in your mid 50s and 60s, not that this is going to happen, but your testosterone levels will naturally decrease. Your energy levels will also start to decrease. Your drive will also start to decrease. This will lead to a decrease in muscle mass, a decrease in energy, a decrease in vitality. So by replenishing those hormones, we're able to make ourselves feel and operate as if we were a younger man. And similar things can be said about estrogen. Now, this one is a little bit more controversial. Talk to your physician before pursuing TRT or estrogen replacement. Now, the second category of biohacking that I'd like to discuss before going into devices is free biohacks. Now, these are things that are supported by science. However, like I mentioned about anything that is natural or unable to put a patent on it, there's not going to be adequate research on this subject because there's no pharmaceutical company willing to back that research financially. Things that are considered free biohacks that you can do right at home right now with $0 are things like sun exposure. They are things like grounding, going out with your bare feet. There are things like taking control over your sleep. We call it sleep hacking. So taking lemon juice and apple cider vinegar before you go to bed and getting massive doses of sun exposure first thing in the morning. Exercise regimens are great free biohacks. Doing calisthenics and body weight exercises. Modifying your diet. There's a lot of cutting edge ways that you can biohack. This is things that ways that you're taking control of your biology as a healthy human before disease forms. These are things that you can do right now to take control that is considered biohacking that will make you a biohacker with $0. Talking about diet, we're talking about exercise, we're talking about sun, we're talking about sleep, and an excellent example of this is intermittent fasting. Or fasting in general. You can do 3 to 7 day fasts and get all of those benefits. Fasting, as we believe in the biohacking community, cleans up a lot of those zombie senescent cells that are floating around in your body, and it's mimicking what we were evolved to do. We weren't evolved to eat 3 meals a day. So I personally eat 1 meal a day. I will skip breakfast and lunch and only eat dinner. It's actually easier than you might think, and you have more energy levels throughout the day. Try these free biohacks at home and become an official biohacker. Now let's talk about some of the more fun, innovative, interesting, and controversial areas of biohacking. And this is the devices. And there's a lot of devices that have swept the community, and there's a lot of demand for these devices. And a lot of them have large budgets, so they're able to produce small studies that say they have results. And I, personally, am a lot more skeptical about these devices than I am for the first two categories. I own these devices. I travel to a facility to use these devices very frequently. I actually partner with several manufacturers of these devices, but I want to alert you before we dive into some of them and the details of them, that they don't all work. A lot of them are great in theory, and they say they're going to do things. They may even be backed by small studies, but there's just no scientific backing for how these things could possibly work. So be on high alert, listen to people that you trust, and if you do decide to experiment with one of these devices, listen to your body and be aware of the placebo effect. If you feel a result, make sure that it's actually a result. All right, let's talk into some of the devices that are most popular amongst biohackers. There's several that I use at home, and I'll start with those, and then we can dive into some of the ones that I have to go to a facility to actually access. So the ones at home that I have are wearable technologies. So I have an Apple Watch on my wrist right now. That is probably the most basic form of a biohacking device. It monitors my fitness, my heart rate, my blood oxygen saturation throughout the day. So I know how many calories I'm burning. I know what my heart rate variability is. I know what my blood oxygen saturation is. And I have several of these wearables. The second one that I own is an Oura ring. I wear that on my ring finger when I don't have the presence of any other wearables. This takes the place of that, and my 8 Sleep mattress, which helps me take control over my sleep, my circadian rhythm. It keeps my body temperature in flux throughout the night according to what sleep cycle that I'm in. So I get into bed, it's nice and cold, slowly warms up as I wake up. And it uses artificial intelligence to adjust that temperature to be perfect for my body. Wakes me up with heat and slow vibrations. It helps track my sleep as well. So these are some different things that I have at home that I use every single day. Another one that I will grab right now. This is an infrared laser helmet. So this uses infrared light to stimulate hair growth. I started to thin in the front, and I used several biohacks to get my hair back. One being PRP injections, and two being the infrared helmet made by Iris Store. I also have a meditation headband. It is a portable EEG. This helps me to modulate my meditation. So as I am meditating or as I'm sleeping, it actually monitors my brain waves to see what brain state that I am in. Am I meditating correctly? So these are some examples of wearables. They do cost some money. An Apple Watch is probably the most affordable and versatile one that you can pick up. And I highly recommend you taking control over your sleep. It is one of the lowest hanging fruit for us biohackers. And if you can make sure that you're getting good sleep every night, everything else will start to fall in line. Now, some other things that I have at home that I use that are not wearable technology is the pulsed electromagnetic frequency mat. I have a ton of videos on this, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But it essentially uses electromagnetic waves pulsing through your body to modulate your cell signaling. So all of our cells and nerves run on electricity. The PEMF mat actually recharges our cells, which makes us heal faster, feel more energetic, and it also incorporates infrared technology, which increases blood flow all throughout my body and makes me more well-rested, more recovered, and more energetic throughout the day. If you're having any back pain or recovering from any injury, you absolutely need to pick one of these up. All right, now let's talk about some technology that I have to visit my regenerative medicine clinic to actually use because they're so big. The first one I'd like to discuss is cryotherapy. Now, just like an ice bath, and you'll get the same benefit from both, you walk into a chamber that's in the negative hundreds of degrees. Now, this will have several benefits. One, I think it's got a great benefit on the dopamine system in your brain. You feel more energetic and happier for longer, but it's also very anti-inflammatory. So biohackers are using cold plungers and cryotherapy chambers every single day. The second, and this one's a lot more expensive, less accessible, and really uncomfortable to use, hyperbaric oxygen. This is a chamber that feels like a space pod that you get into for between 60 and 120 minutes. And it is a very high pressure, high oxygen environment, forcing oxygen into your cells. This is great for people with long COVID. It's great for athletes who are trying to train their cells and their metabolism to operate at a higher level. And it's unbelievable for recovery as well. Now, I could go on for days about the different biohacking devices. There's the biocharger that also works kind of like a PEMF mat, but shoots different wavelengths of electromagnetic radiation. There's just a suite of new devices that come out every day. If you go to a biohacking conference, you will see what I mean. They are everywhere. But my call to action to you is to take caution with any of these devices, specifically the ones that you're purchasing for your home. Some of them may even turn out to be slightly dangerous, like the biocharger. It hasn't been around that long, and we don't know what this wavelengths of radiation is going to do with people with pacemakers and other various conditions. So be careful, and be careful with any of these things that you decide to try. I highly recommend that you find a physician that's open-minded to guiding you through these different options that you can utilize as a biohacker. There's a lot of different stuff out there. There's a lot of noise to get through, and it takes practice and education to do it. Biohacking is, I believe, the future, and I am investing a lot of my own personal time, money, and energy into it. I believe that with the rate technology is evolving right now, specifically medical and health technology, by empowering yourself with money and education, you'll be able to stay on the cutting edge. And as Dave Asprey says, potentially even live to be 150 years old and healthy. If you love this video and you want more about biohacking or any of these specific devices that I mentioned, be sure to like this video so that you see more of it in your feed. You're able to take control over your biology and over your health, and be sure to subscribe if you're not already. I produce a lot of content that a lot of doctors don't touch that will help you take control of your health, live a happier, healthier, and longer life. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.